Now, there are some additional tools that we can look at before jumping on a project. For instance, we could look at some tools that we have under our curves and surfaces shelf, the NURBS, non-uniform rational B-splines. But before you look at creating objects with NURBS, we need to first of all look at curves. Okay, although we look at this in a more detailed lesson afterwards, but to create a curve in Maya, you just go to the curve and surfaces shelf. You click on circle, we have a circle. You click on a rectangle or a box, you have a box. Although when you create a box like this, you have individual lines that are just joined together by their vertices or their points. So we have this. So definitely it is not the kind of point you need, although there are ways to combine all of this, which you'll see later. But in this case, you just want to look at some additional ways to create some interesting shape. Let's say I want to create a wire, okay, and the best way to go about creating a wire would be to use a curve and a circle and make an extrusion with NURBS. Okay, so we have EP curve tool. We have other tools down here. We have the Bezier tool. Okay, we have an arc tool. So let's say we make let's make a line or a curve with the Bezier tool. Okay, so with this I will show you what is involved in making this. I'm going to click and drag my viewport. When I'm done creating the curve, I'll hit enter on my keyboard. Now I'll hold down my right mouse button and click on control vertices, okay, or control vertex. Now you notice that here I have a vertex, just like the way you have a vertex in the geometry. You have a vertex here, we have a vertex here, we have another one here, because we clicked 3 points when we were creating our curve. Okay, now you see these lines on the vertex, those are handles. Next, there are tangent handles that we could use to manipulate our curve, okay, to bend the tangent. We bend our curve. So we have handles on these 3 ends, okay. That's because at this point, this curve here is a Bezier curve, right, and here is a Bezier corner. You could basically not use handles or get rid of the handles. When we click on this vertex, hold down your shift and right click, your right mouse button and hit corner. Okay, so that will basically take away those handles. Then we have the curve coming in through this vertex to be straight line, and going out of it will also be a straight line. Okay, so in essence, this is a corner. All right, so we could do the same for any of these 2 ends. We could grab the 2 of them and hold down shift, hold down right mouse button and hit corner. So we have 3 vertices that are not showing some kind of curves or wobbly form. Right, go back, grab all 3 vertices, hold shift, hold right mouse button and hit Bezier. Then we have back our Bezier handles or tangent handles. Right, so with curves you have vertices and you have handles. The U there shows you the first handle that was created. Immediately you clicked on the viewport to make your first vertex. So in essence, my curve started from this direction. This is the first vertex. That's why I'm saying the U there, right? So now let's make an example with this. Let's say I want to create a wire or some kind of curve like a pipe curve or a hose. All right, I have a curve, my viewport. I could modify the handles the way I want to modify the handles. Okay, I could have this sort of bend around, and then I could move. Let's move this down here. Let's move this down here. Right. Now I have this. I'll go back. I'll go out of component mode. Go back to object mode. I have this curve. I'll go to my the curve and surfaces shelf. I'll create a circle. All right. So this is a curve. This is a circle. I'll click on the circle first, and I hold down shift and click on the curve, and I'll go up here. So this is my extrude button on my shelf. All right. In essence, you can also go down to surfaces, and you also see extrude. Okay, you could click on the options to check all these other things here, but we'll see this in a while. Let's click on extrude either from here or from here. All right, so I'm going to click this. Now definitely Maya used the shape of my circle to make a hose or a pipe, also referencing the curve I made here. All right, somehow this hose or this pipe doesn't look smooth. Okay, so what we can do here is to basically click on this, click on the surface that was created and go down to surfaces. You will see it rebuild, which is second to the last option you have there. Then if you click on the settings, you can rebuild our curve. Now there are some things to take note of here. In this, if you click on this surface and go down to your journey box, you see some inputs. All right, now the inputs I'm having here is extrude, which is the last function that was done on this. Okay, some of the settings you will see on that settings, you will see them here, of which you can change them the way you want. All right, so the U spans and the V spans are subdivisions across the height and across the axis. In essence, this is set to, let me reset this button. So here, if I click on the surfaces, I'll have, and I click on the extrude operation, which is the input I was on it, I could change some things. Now what just happened was, Maya used this to create a tube for us, which is the extrude tribe we saw here. We have a tube. We could change that to flat, and it will just use it the way it is to follow the outline, all right, or the path. So in this case, we want it to be a tube. Okay, to make a tube out of those two selections, we could use we could tell Maya to change the direction of extrusion from X, Y, Z. Okay, we could also change the length of this, and as well as the rotation if you want to introduce some twist around it. We could change the scale to taper the end of it. Okay, if we click on that, it scales the end up. We drag that down, it scales the end down. So this somehow looks like a taper effect. So I'm going to change that back to 1. Okay, and use profile normal. This is normal to the vertex you have on that curve. Okay, now if we want to make our surface smooth, we just need to rebuild the surface. Like I told you earlier, go down to surfaces, rebuild, and click on the options. By default, let me reset this too. It is set to 4 spans in U and V, which is basically the subdivisions in axis and height. It will subdivide this surface this way and as well as this way. So I increase the U and V span from 4 to like let's go to 10. 10 in V, 10 in U. If I hit apply, it rebuilds that curve. So you could see that we have multiple subdivisions now across the axis and across the height. You can also increase that again to have this across the axis. For U, can turn this one here to 40. Apply that to have more division across the height of my tube. Okay, now one thing with this is, even if we move our curve or our surfaces away, if we manipulate the curve to still change or manipulate the surface that was created from it. Because of history dependency, this surface was made from the combination of these two. Okay, so somehow it has its history from this. So if we manipulate anything here, it will affect the surface, unless we convert this to a polygon, which we eventually will if we are to use this for production, and we delete the history from edit, delete by type, history. Okay, but interestingly, before we finalize on this, based on what we want, we can still go back to manipulate how this shape behaves. It's kind of dragging because of the number of U and V spans I have on this surface. So this is one way to create some simple wires and some curvy kind of objects with our extrude option we have on the NURBS modeling toolkit, in essence, in our curve and surface shelf. Okay, definitely you won't use this way in production because look at some vertices here, you will see how this behaves. All right. In some extent, you might want to use this in rigging, but you see that there are patches on all of this. Okay. So what we can do here is we can convert this surface, which is NURBS surface, to a polygonal surface. In essence, to a polygon. Go down to modify, convert NURBS to polygon. Okay. If we just hit this by the default settings, we will get a polygon created under this. Okay. As you can see the name here, NURBS to poly 1. If I move this away, you see I have a polygon created for me, but this is coming out with a lot of triangles. So that means you might have to tweak the settings in that conversion option. Let me delete this. Click on this again, go down to modify, convert NURBS to polygon, but I'll hit on the settings, and in here I don't want triangles like the first time I made there I had triangles. I don't want triangles, I want quads. Okay, and the solution method here, I would rather go for counts. In essence, I want to basically determine the number of polygon count the final model we have. In essence, the number of faces. So in this case, let's turn this to like 500 and hit apply. Okay, so I have my object created there for me, and voila. Now this is now a normal polygon. Okay, I could blow away the history on this and delete all of this, and bye bye, I have my tube. Where is this effective? This is effective in creating some curvy kind of object like wires on an extension in the house, tubes, pipes, hoses, and so on. So that is one way to make quick tubes and the rest of them.